What's up everyone, and welcome to another Bitcoin market update. In these videos you will learn how to use technical analysis to forecast price movements in your favorite cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. We're going to be taking a look at Bitcoin here in this video, and you'll also see where we are looking to buy and sell this asset ourselves. So let's get into it here with Bitcoin on the monthly time frame. We are looking at a monthly high potentially being set. We don't know that for sure yet because this month has not broken the high or low of the previous monthly candle. We may end up getting an inside bar this month. We'll see what ends up playing out here. But what we've been talking about in these videos is the combination of three different factors. The bearish spinning top candlestick right here in the month of April. The increase in bear volume for the first time since September of 2020, and the overbought RSI. All three of these signals are short-term bearish, meaning that we potentially could be setting a high here and coming down and having to form a higher low before we continue higher if we are to continue higher in this market cycle. So that's something that we're being cognizant of as we go down to the lower term time frames to scout for entries. So right now the weekly time frame is looking bullish, and as I've been talking about in the previous videos, running counter to what the monthly is telling us. So the weekly, you can see we're seeing this increasing bull volume in conjunction with this weekly hidden bullish divergence on the RSI. So we have a low here and a low here, and then we have a lower low. So we have a lower low in the RSI, but the price is negating that, saying we have a higher low. So this is bullish. This is what we want to see if we're a Bitcoin bull. Now what we want to see is we want to see this either continue up and break this high, then negating that monthly bearish scenario that we just saw of setting a high, and then we want to see us come down, form a higher low somewhere, and then continue up so we're back into the bull trend on the weekly time frame. If we go down below the R2 pivot here, we'll probably go down to the R1, which is down here at about 38K, and that goes inside of our support zone from back here. And the way that we know this is a support zone is from the trend. So we have a low, high, higher low, and then higher high pattern. And so when we're looking at this candle right here, what this is telling us is this is the last place where people were selling their Bitcoin before this rise in price. So once the price continues to go up and confirms a trend, now if the price comes back to this level, this is where people will have a chance, the people that sold here will have a chance to buy their Bitcoin back. So that is where this support zone will be, and it's this last candle where people were selling with above average selling volume here from January 18th. So let's go to the lower term time frames now and see if we can get a little bit more clarity on what we're dealing with here. So if we look at the 2-day time frame, this is the level that we talked about, this gray level back here. Whoops. Back here in this range, we were talking about it on this channel, and we said, all right, if we get 2 candle closes below that low, then that's how we know that this gray zone is going to end up being a resistance zone for price. So we said we're going short. We came into it, got a nice short right here, and then we came into it again. Second test, rejected off of it. Third test right now, we'll see what we end up getting. So the zone gets weaker. Every supporter's resistance zone gets weaker every time that it gets tested. And so as this zone continues to get tested, it is continuing to get weaker. So the more we press on the zone, the more likely it is that we're going to eventually break above it. And then if we close two 2-day candlesticks above this gray zone, this will end up being a support zone, and I will look to go long on the top of that. So it'll look something like this, where we come up, close 2 candlesticks above it, come down, long it right here, and then target new all-time highs. Now the support zone that we have, these are the really only 2 zones that I'm concerned with. I'm still on the paint, or the brush. This is our support zone right here, this dark blue zone. So how do we know that this is a support zone? Well, we know because it's the same exact pattern that we saw with the bullish trend. So it's a low, high, higher low, higher high. Now, this, we came down, we came up, we formed a higher high, we continued the bull trend, but we didn't close above the high. We had a bearish candlestick with a long upper wick of people selling into the rise in price, and then subsequently we had this drawdown into the blue support zone. Bulls recovered rather quickly, had a bullish engulfing candlestick here, and now subsequently we have seen a rise in price thereafter. This line in here is the daily pivot zone, so that's good that we're operating above that now, because that'll hopefully act as support if we come down to it again. For the bulls, this is the must-hold zone, this blue zone. If we do end up somehow coming back down below this zone in the coming weeks, this will end up being a resistance zone that we'll keep an eye on. But these are the main two zones, and you can see we've been trading in between these zones for pretty much this entire week. And so once we get above one or below one, that's when this is either going to become a good opportunity to go long on this gray zone or go short on this blue zone on a retest. Let's go to the lower term time frames and look at what we're dealing with here. So if we go to the 12-hour, there's a couple things to note here. First, we have the makings of a bull trend to put this back in the bull's favor. So the bulls have a low, high, higher low, and now they've made a higher high with one candle close above this high. Now they need to print the next 12-hour candle close above this high. If they can do that, this black candle will end up being a very strong support level for price, and that is where I'll look to go long for an entry and target these yellow zones most likely, or probably maybe even a bit higher from there. We'll see. The other thing to note about this pattern is the inverse potential for an inverse head and shoulders right here. So the inverse head and shoulders pattern typically is coming at the bottom of a run. So it typically comes like this. This right here would be what we'd want to see. Bearish price action, we come down, we form the left shoulder, we come down further, we form the right shoulder, or I'm sorry, the head, and then we form the right shoulder. Except this did not play out. You can see that we did not just start exploding upwards. We came up, and then we had a fake out and we came down, and now we're starting to go up. So now this might be the actual push up now. So although this pattern isn't coming at the end of a push down, because it's clearly we're trending up here, and then pattern is coming at the top of this run, it doesn't necessarily mean that this isn't going to play out. And if it does, then the measured move for this is going to be measured from the head to the neckline, which is about 54.91. So then what you do is you take your measurement tool and you measure up from the neckline, which is where both of in this case in the inverse head and shoulders pattern, where the highs are, the key highs, so that's this high and this high, right where those are about equal, which is about 58,500. So you click on there, you pull that up to 54.91, and that takes us to about 64K. So that's the target that we'll look for if we end up, if this pattern ends up being valid, which would take us above these yellow support zones, as well as that gray zone that we talked about on the 2-day time frame, which is important to keep an eye on. Let's talk about the trade from yesterday briefly here. So we talked about this trade in yesterday's video, and it hadn't actually played out. The level had not become valid when I posted the video, but after I posted the video, I said towards the end of the video that this is a valid level that I was keeping an eye on, just in case we did get that trend change. And we did get it right here with both of these candles closing above the key high right here. So this is a very simple trade right here. It's simply a push down in price and then a recovery by the bulls with a bull pattern. That's all it is. Push down in price, low, high, higher low, barely a higher low above this one, and then a higher high with two candle closes right here, 1, 2, above this high. Now, this black candle where people were selling their Bitcoin, we know that with bear volume, people were selling right here. When the price goes up and confirms a trend, this gives people an opportunity to buy their Bitcoin back if they miss the opportunity, or if they were selling it right here. So now that they see it's a bull trend, this gives them an opportunity again to buy it at the same price that they sold it at. And then subsequently we had if you bought on the top of the wick of the candle, that was already about a 4%, a little over 4% trade. So that's a nice one. I personally did not take this trade, and the reason for that was because I personally don't like taking trades where I see the first support zone after a bearish divergence on the RSI, and that's what we were seeing right here with the high. This is a higher high above this one, but if you look at the RSI, it's clearly a lower high. And so it wasn't clear that this was going to bounce right here, although obviously clearly it did. So now we'll wait to see. It looks like the price is, increasing bull volume, looking very good on this rise in price. Like I said, the 12-hour is really what I'm concerned with right now, and the 12-hour is going to need to close above this key high. If it is able to do that, this black candle becomes our support zone, and then we will look to potentially go long on a test of that support zone. So that's all I got for this one, guys. If you like this video, give it a like down below and subscribe for future educational content around cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. And if you haven't already, check out our beginner technical analysis course that we just released on Leutheria.com. This is a course that will help you lay down the foundational elements of technical analysis. A lot of the stuff that we talk about in these types of videos, but a bit more in depth and a lot more conceptual in nature that's going to help you practically apply these techniques and ideas so then you can build up those skills that you need to trade effectively and make consistent profits. Check that out. We have a 20% discount going on that course up through May 20th for our early birds, because we really appreciate you guys and your early support with Leutheria. So check it out, and until tomorrow, onward and upward.